We're going to see how two low-level characters can easily defeat Demogorgon on the 6th level of the Watcher's Keep. Our first step is to communicate with the imprisoned one. Choose number 3 and then number 2. And so now Demogorgon is ignoring us. I'm going to hit the pause button and turn off the artificial intelligence. Let's have a look at the game settings. We're going to move the difficulty level up to Insane and set the auto-pause to Enemy Sighted. Let's look at the character's statistics. The mage is only level 8. He is wearing the robe of Vecna, which decreases the amount of time required to cast a spell. He also has a scroll of improved haste. Since he's not high enough level to memorize the spell, he will need to cast the spell directly from a scroll. Keldorn is also level 8, and he's armed with the magic sword, Hallowed Redeemer. Hallowed Redeemer can only be wielded by Keldorn, and this sword is an integral part of our plan to destroy Demogorgon. It will almost always successfully cause 5 hit points of magical damage to anyone that injures Keldorn. However, they will only suffer this retaliation damage if they are within a 6-foot radius of Keldorn. Also, if they are large creatures, they must be in front of him as well. I'm actually going to remove Keldorn's armor because he cannot be hasted while wearing it. I'm going to have the mage Ravenberger cast Otaluk's Resilient Sphere on Keldorn, and then he will position himself in front of the right teleport mirror at the top of the stairs. Ravenberger can initiate dialogue with Demogorgon from anywhere in this room by clicking on the center of the summoning circle. Ravenberger initiates dialogue with Demogorgon. Number 4. I demand you show yourself. Number 1. Show yourself. The game automatically pauses when Demogorgon appears. Unpause the game. Keldorn is completely safe for the duration of the Otaluk's Resilient Sphere spell that Ravenberger cast on him. The Mariliths have been summoned and Ravenberger can now run into the teleport mirror. The Marilith demons that Demogorgon gated in will disappear after 8 hours and never return. Fortunately, I can fast forward 8 hours by hitting the rest button. We can return to the 6th level of the Watcher's Keep to face Demogorgon by himself. Had this doorway always been unlocked, 2 8th-level characters could pass through it early on in the game and easily defeat Demogorgon, with the help of this tutorial, of course. And remember that I have the difficulty level set to Insane, and that the party is composed of only 2 characters with entry-level experience points and some minimal equipment that is available early on in the game. I will have Ravenberger cast haste on himself and Keldorn in preparation for their confrontation with the Prince of Demons. Keldorn can now put his armor back on. And I will position Keldorn beside the stone block above the summoning circle. I will position Ravenberger beside the stone block at the bottom of the stairs. Press the Save button to create a saved game. I'll explain why later. I need to point out something before we continue. I'm running version 2.6.6. This is important because version 2.6 has changed Otoluk's resilient sphere. The spell will always succeed if cast on anyone in the spellcaster's party. Versions 2.5 and lower required the recipient party member to fail a saving throw in order for the spell to succeed. My characters are finally ready to face Demogorgon. I'll move Keldorn toward the bottom of the screen. The game will automatically pause when Demogorgon is sighted. I'll set Ravenberger to cast Otoluk's resilient sphere on Keldorn. Then I'll unpause the game. Demogorgon will use ranged attacks on Keldorn before he closes in. Press the pause button the instant Demogorgon starts to move. Have Ravenberger cast improved haste on Demogorgon, and then unpause the game. Notice that Ravenberger always moves a short distance away between spellcastings, because there's a small chance that Demogorgon will use a ranged attack on him. The sphere around Keldorn will immobilize him, but it will also protect him from Demogorgon's attacks. The improved haste spell will double Demogorgon's number of attacks per round, but since Keldorn's sword causes retaliatory damage, Demogorgon will actually take twice as much damage per round. All that's left to do now is sit back and watch the show. You can see his life bar getting shorter and shorter. Demogorgon will be defeated before the Otoluk's resilient sphere spell ends. I've replayed this scenario many times and it almost always works. But sometimes things can go wrong. I've added a what if something goes wrong part 1 and a what if something goes wrong part 2. For the unlikely situation you have a problem. What if something goes wrong part 1? I will move Keldorn toward the center of the summoning circle as usual, and then unpause the game after Demogorgon is sighted. But for illustration purposes, I'll intentionally turn Keldorn around before Ravenberger casts Otoluk's resilient sphere on him. A word to the wise. Never turn your back to Demogorgon. Hallowed Redeemer almost always fails to cause retaliatory damage against large creatures if Keldorn is facing away from them. This means that if Keldorn is surrounded by large opponents, only the ones in front of him will take retaliatory damage. Since Demogorgon isn't taking any damage, I need to start over. I could just open up the saved game I created, or I could have Ravenberger exit through the teleport mirror. This is why I suggested you create a saved game. I'll have Ravenberger exit through the teleport mirror. Now that both characters are outside the Watcher's Keep, we have two options. The first is to rest and re-enter and continue with the original plan. You can do this as often as you like. Demogorgon will always be waiting at the bottom of the summoning circle after 8 hours has elapsed. However, if your characters re-enter shortly after they exit, then Demogorgon will be waiting at the center of the summoning circle. I'll show you how to handle that situation. I'll send my characters back into the Watcher's Keep. Keldorn will remove his armor once again, and after Ravenberger casts haste on both of them, Keldorn will put his armor back on. Move both characters halfway down the stairs. Then move Keldorn to the bottom of the stairs. The game will automatically pause when Demogorgon is sighted. Have Ravenberger cast Otoluk's Resilient Sphere on Keldorn and unpause the game. Ravenberger should move a short distance back up the stairs. When Demogorgon starts to move, Ravenberger should cast Improved Haste on him. Once again move Ravenberger a short distance back up the stairs. Demogorgon will not last until the end of the spell. I'll stop talking and turn up the sound effects while we watch two entry-level characters defeat the toughest boss in Baldur's Gate 2. You are now able to beat the Prince of Demons after watching this tutorial. Just remember, if for some reason things are going badly, you can have one of your characters exit through the teleport mirror and try again. But what if your modestly experienced mage uses up his improved haste scrolls before he can defeat the baboon-headed bastard? Relax, you don't actually need to cast improved haste on Demogorgon. It just makes it easier. For the last part of this instructional video, I'll show you what to do if you don't have an improved haste spell. What if something goes wrong? Part 2. What if your character doesn't have an improved haste spell available? Defeating Demogorgon is still possible for low-level characters, even without an improved haste spell. I'll show you how it's done. The strategy is very similar. I'll move Keldorn toward the bottom of the screen. The game will automatically pause when Demogorgon is sighted. I'll set Ravenberger to cast Otoluk's Resilient Sphere on Keldorn. Then I'll unpause the game. Ravenberger should always move a short distance away between spell castings. I would usually have my mage cast Improved Haste at this point. Since that spell is not available in this scenario, we need to be patient and just wait. The plan is to cast Otoluk's Resilient Sphere on Keldorn a second time immediately after the first one ends. Keldorn may take some damage, but he'll survive. You'll need quick reflexes, and you'll need to have your finger on the pause button when the spell is near the end of its duration. When the Otoluk's Resilient Sphere spell is about to end, I'll move Ravenberger a little closer to Keldorn. Press the pause button the instant the spell ends. Then set Ravenberger to cast Otoluk's Resilient Sphere on Keldorn again. Unpause the game and once again move Ravenberger a short distance away. Demogorgon is low on hit points, and he will be defeated before the second Otoluk's Resilient Sphere spell ends. I never get tired of seeing Demogorgon's surprise from being defeated so easily. I even have a few rounds to spare. This may be the easiest 100,000 experience points in the game. Most players wait until their characters are high level before they attempt to complete part or all of the Watcher's Keep. But it's possible for your characters to complete the Watcher's Keep shortly after leaving the Irenicus dungeon. I'll add more instructional videos to show how it can be done.